Okay. Good morning. The Finance Committee meeting is called to order. I have 10:30 a.m., Tuesday, October 24th. We're waiting for my colleague to zoom in, but we do have a quorum to start the meeting. I have Alderwoman O'Neill to my left. At this time, I'll accept a motion to approve the agenda. I believe we have everything listed at this time.
So moved.
I will second in Alderwoman Finlayson's absence. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'll accept a motion at this time to accept the meeting minutes of October 4th.
Motion to approve 10/4/23 meeting minutes.
I'll second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye. Actually, I can't approve this because I wasn't here.
Oh, okay. We're going to have to go back to that, right? We're skipping. Yeah,
Sorry.
no problem.
I just realized the date when I said it.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go to the first item on the agenda. Why am I showing a video here? Hold on. What happened to it? Hold on. I lost my meeting minutes. Little technical difficulties this morning.
FT3-24.
Oh, wow. Okay, thanks. All right, first up is a fund transfer from one fund to another in the budget, and it is FT3-24. It's for the police department, and I believe we have a representative from the police department to speak to this transfer of $45,000 from the staff line item in the budget. All right. Hi.
Morning.
I didn't know if it was going to be you or Rhonda or.
It is definitely me today. Yeah, so this budget transfer is really just for the purposes of hiring a temporary employee, contractual IT specialist. One of our current, or actually our only civilian IT specialist is going off to military training, which we anticipate lasting about 6 months. It's initial training. And the other sworn support staff that we have in that office has been redeployed due to our winter crime fighting plan, which leaves 1 out of 3 members of that unit currently still in that unit. If my math is correct, that's 1/3. So the idea is that we would be taking the money that's not being spent on salary and benefits for our current civilian IT specialist, moving it over to contractual services, and then paying for this temporary employee with those funds.
I'll go first on a question. I'm a little confused because Rhonda had spoken to me about requesting that money from the unspent staff to someone to handle the grants. Does that ring a bell, or?
So I think there was a separate item that was brought up, which would take, and I believe that was to be like a permanent position, okay. Someone to handle grants in terms of like a grant manager. That may have been the position that you're thinking about. Whereas this is really just filling in for our current employee while that employee is in his initial military training, and it's intended to be temporary, because once that employee is done with his military training, assuming he doesn't deploy, he comes back, his job's sitting there waiting for him.
Question?
I do not have any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that clarification. At this time, I'll entertain a motion for a favorable recommendation for this fund transfer.
I'll make a motion for favorable recommendation on FT3-24 to the council.
I will second that. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We're going to move on now to supplemental appropriations. The first one up is SA 8-24, and it is the Choice Neighborhood Initiative grant. So we have our director here to speak to it. Just introduce yourself, as you know the drill.
Good morning. I'm
Good
Chris
morning.
Jakubiak, Director of Planning and Zoning. Good to be here.
Okay, do you want, Director Dickinson, did you want to do a summary of this?
I just wanted to give you background. Jody Dickinson, Finance Director.
Yeah.
This money had been appropriated in '23. As you can see by the description, we had some initial funding in there to do some work, and then we added $100,000 in May to work on some early action initiatives, and all of that money was not spent. We still have $133,000 left, but it was not reappropriated in the '24 budget. So they're ready to start these early action initiatives, and that's what this funding is for. And I'll let Mr. Jakubiak address the rest.
The revenue to support this was in the last budget, right?
So
And that
yes,
we're
the revenue was set aside, and on 100,000 of this remaining money is a grant that's coming from HUD through HACA to us.
Okay. All right, so to me, it almost seems like an accounting issue. Yeah.
Yes, but we'd like to have the departments here if you have any questions about the work or the
Oh,
program.
right, yeah. How's it going? How's that?
The mayor's team, including planning and zoning staff and HAC representatives, meet weekly. In fact, that's why Eric Lashinsky is actually not here, who's actually the staff person working most closely on this particular project. It's going well, and the plan has been developed and for the redevelopment, and this, accounting would allow for the CNI to move forward in this fiscal year.
Any questions?
I do not have any questions.
Yeah, no, we don't
Pretty
want to,
straightforward.
yeah, we don't want to hold up this flagship, effort. So with that, I'll accept a motion for a favorable recommendation on FT, readers on FT, on SA 8-24.
I will make a motion for favorable recommendation, SA 824.
I will
To the council.
second that. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, good stuff.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have SA 9-24, which reads as another sort of accounting lack of a better word. Who's here to do a background? Okay, yes, sir. Well, we can, we can toss here. No, go ahead.
It doesn't matter. So it's from the State Aid for Police Protection Grant. This grant funds some of our officers' salaries. I believe we have 12 that are currently funded through this grant. And the award amount just wound up being $23,173 more than was originally budgeted for. Better to undershoot than overshoot when budgeting, I guess, right? But yeah, the award amount just wound up being a little bit more than we had originally anticipated.
Great.
Okay. All right. Any questions?
No questions, sorry.
I have a, so the $23.17, wow, you go out to a third decimal point.
Oh no, it's $23,173.
Yeah.
$23,173.
Sorry, it's my, oh, God, it's the readers. I thought that was a dot, and I'm like, what? It's
Very-
20 okay.
that would be very,
Sorry.
very precise.
Okay. Do I have to go to 1.75 here? Okay,
At some point, you can probably just round, right?
we're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
All
I'll
right.
make a favorable recommendation on SA 924 to the council.
I will second that favorable recommendation. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. But still, $173, that's good accounting. That was my point I was trying to make.
We're not going to go out 3 decimals, I'm
No,
sorry.
sorry, I thought it was a dot. I'm like, what? Okay, we have, next is SA 10-24. This is something that has been in the works for a couple of years, so I Director Moore's here to speak to it. It involves the microtransit effort. Director Moore, would you want to just do a background for it? And you're familiar with the amount? It's $90,000.
Yes.
Not $90.
Good morning, Marcus Moore, the Director of Transportation and Parking. Yes, this $90,000 funds here is to fund our pilot program for the microtransit that we're in our final stages of selecting a vendor to operate this new service. The supplemental appropriation has been in the works, as Alderwoman Tierney has mentioned, for a couple of years now. And we are full steam ahead and ready to start up with a vendor in the next couple weeks.
That was from the RFP that was, that you gave to both Karma and I to look at.
That is correct.
Questions?
And this 90,000 will fund the pilot program, or is this just a portion of it?
No, this will fund it, we're hoping for, depending on what the best and final comes in. We're down to our last 2 that we had 4 presenters back in late August. So we'll see what those numbers look like, but we're hoping that it'll fund it for at least 2 years. So the whole workings of it, as far as training, whatever hardware we need, and basically the software that'll be leased, not purchased, to use for reservations of this type of a service that we'll be providing.
Can you give me an example of what hardware you're talking about?
Hardware would be like the iPads to take the reservations that will specifically be on the buses, and of course the software to drive it that'll be behind the scenes. Being able to call in for reservation during certain times, but also the software that'll be in our dispatch office to actually input that will drive it to that vehicle, so that driver will be able to see where and who they're picking up.
All right. And this will be, you're still determining the cost to the rider?
The cost of the rider will be consistent with our fixed route cost now. So the real cost for us will be procuring the iPads and the lease agreement for use of the software. And we'll see how long that will take us, because the first year startup will be the most. Then you have your recurring will be operating expense after the pilot is concluded. That should be very minimal as far as software leases go.
Okay. And after the 2 years of the pilot, then will that give us enough time to study to find out if it will be an ongoing project?
That is correct, because that will be now absorbed into operational expenses. Obviously, we'll have the hardware in place, whatever that cost will be to operate, to use their software for recurring times. But yeah, the first 2 years, those 24 months or longer, will give us a good baseline. As you build something new, sometimes it takes a little while to catch on. So that first 1.5 to 2 years, you'll see a growth pattern, we're hoping.
Great. Thank you.
So just 2 questions. So this would be sort of modeled after Annapolis Go?
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
a good example of what on-demand or microtransit is. I like to use words like watered-down version of an Uber or Lyft, where they're coming right to where you are, but it'll come within a geosphere of where you'll be, and it'll cover more of the city, which will give us more flexibility of covering and going more into the county as we look to do more of that. Anne Arundel County already has a pilot going on for microtransit for their what they call their South County operation across the bridge. But yeah, that will give us more connectivity where we're not covering right now in the city of Annapolis.
What sort of capital expenses will be involved, and when will those, or are they in the capital budget under mobility?
Hard to say right now, but it won't be anything in the next couple years because of this.
Okay.
So there won't be any more expenditures that will be requested once we get going.
Okay.
Because the capital expenditures we're using our fleet, our employees. There shouldn't be any other large expenses in the next fiscal year as we start up now in the remainder of this fiscal year, but clearly through FY '25, we don't see any additional expenses as far as capital requests.
Great. Great. Okay, if no questions, I'll accept a motion for a favorable recommendation.
I'll make a motion for a favorable recommendation on SA 1024.
I will second that. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Phew, that was
Thank you, Marcus.
Two-year-old amendment. Yay. All right. Last but not least on the supplemental appropriations is SA 11-24, and it is it allocates money from FEMA, and I believe the Director of Office of Emergency Management is here to speak to it. Yes, so, hi, how are you? Welcome. Hello. So if you introduce yourself and your colleague, that would be great.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Kevin Simmons. I'm the Director of the Office of Emergency Management. I'm here with Taylor Vaughn. She is the Emergency Management Grant Coordinator for our office. And Taylor will gladly speak to you about SA 1124, the FEMA grant that we have before you today. So, Taylor?
As he said, my name is Taylor Vaughn. I'm the Grants Coordinator for Emergency Management. This is a $10,000 grant that we were awarded from FEMA, and it will help to support the Stanton Center Warming Center. And so what that provides is a place to stay when it gets to 32 degrees, and also a meal. And so last season, the program activated 91 times with a total of 1,028 referrals. And we average about 12 people that we help a night at that. And so what this would help with is helping to support a payment for the salaries for the people who are staffing it, as well as training, including CPR and Narcan training.
Awesome.
It supports salaries, the 10 or the whole?
It will help to support the salaries.
Help to support the salaries.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we already have money that's allocated towards this, and this would just supplement that.
And if you can remember
Yeah.
from last year's budget, they were paid a stipend of $75 overnight. So now we've upped that to minimum wage, which is a lot more. So and properly so.
And everything's okay with the Stanton Center?
The Stanton Center just cleared fire inspection.
Good.
And we had a meeting yesterday with the director, so everything's in place, our cots, our blankets, our hygiene kits. We're all ready. Last night at my house, it got down to 38 degrees. So I would say within the next 2 weeks, we'll start this program at 32 degrees. And again, as Taylor stated, it was 91 times that we were activated last year, and we served 1,028 attendees. So it's a much needed program, and thank you all for your support over a number of years in making this program a success. I do believe it's in its 14th year now.
And what is your motto?
Nobody dies from exposure on the streets of Annapolis, and since this program has been implemented, nobody has. We're going to keep that going.
Yeah. Worth repeating.
That's awesome.
Any questions?
No, I would make a motion for a favorable recommendation
I will
for SA 1124.
I will second that motion for a favorable recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you.
all that you're doing for our residents in Annapolis.
And thank you for your support. We couldn't do it without you guys' support.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. All right, that takes us to a Finance Department update from our director. You're on.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Jody Dickinson, Finance Director. I had forgotten about this part. The finance department is working really hard on closing out the financials, preparing the financial statements for FY '23. We still got a little work to do to get there. The audit begins in November, so we'll be having auditors here for the full month of November. I know we're starting to get involved in the union negotiation process. We're starting meetings this month, so that's also gearing up.
Can you just repeat that? I didn't hear that.
The union negotiations, we're starting the meeting process this month.
Thank you.
Wow, that's a lot going on. How are you doing on staffing?
Well, the staffing situation is the same as before. I still have a vacant senior buyer position that we've gotten applicants for. And so that's still vacant, and that department is still working with just 2 people. And our buyer has told us she's retiring within the next couple months, so we're now going to be, I think we've also listed that position internally, so we're trying to fill that before she leaves. And so she can do the training that she needs to do. So there's that, and then I have my senior accountant position that, again, I can't, until I know where they're going to sit, I can't try to hire somebody.
So in your judgment, when you speak to performance measures, if you will, in your judgment, not having this staff impedes on what part of your efforts? Where does it hurt the most? Or
in a lot of ways, I think that in order to meet any performance measures, now mine have to be revamped because they need to be clarified and worded properly, and our assistant city manager is going to help me do that. But for any performance measure, we've got to have the foundation there to create solid accounting records and reconcile our accounts and be able to take on new programs as they're given to us. And all staffing needs is going to help further that effort.
The last question is, when do you expect the audit to be done for them?
Okay, so we hope that it'll go on in November, and then in December we'll make final touches on the financial statements. That's our goal right now. Again, as we get pulled on different projects, sometimes it slows down that process in getting the financial statements pulled together.
They came before the audit committee and presented, their structure of auditing and their disclaimers.
Yes, there's a new letter that auditors are required to present to the governance boards before they start the work, to talk about the work that they're going to be doing, what their responsibilities are, and what their responsibilities are not. So they presented that at the last audit committee meeting.
Any questions? Oh, for the director.
I do not have any questions, but.
No, I don't have any questions, so, yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you for being here.
Keep up the good work.
Yeah. And so at this point, we've concluded the agenda, so I will accept a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second. All in favor for adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
I think that was the shortest.